わよ。でも何その体勢、なんで膝枕。それは恋人のやることでしょ。そうじゃなければ飼い犬と飼い主のスキンシップよ。暑かったのね、脱ぎたくもなるでしょうよ。だけど何その格好、ブラヒも見えてるし谷間すごいし。っていうか、こないだ買ってあげた服はどうした？
This was a very good episode of My Stepmom's Ex. I think this will be a quick review, but nonetheless, I want to spend some time on just a couple of different facts. I really like the relationship between Mizuto and HIGASHIRA, and I think that their relationship progressing in a way of comfortability is really strong, and a lot of relationships begin and are dependent on that comfortability factor. What I mean by that is, even though Mizuto right now is very confused and all of his romantic and love feelings are directed or misdirected or are currently reserved for Yume, right? Like, I think that at this point, what HIGASHIRA can do in her, you know, kind of like in her light, is seriously like just be there. Like, continue to be there for Mizuto, continue to be his support, continue to push the boundaries of comfortability that he has. And eventually that could spur a relationship, you know, because eventually Mizuto and Yume are going to have to decide. Are they going to push the boundaries and be in love? Or are they going to let this love fizzle out because their parents are more important than a relationship that they could potentially rekindle, but are going to be sacrificing something very important, which is their parents' relationship? And at the end of the day, you know, they're not mature enough now, you know, because they're kids. But, you know, at some point in life, depending on what they choose, they might think, yeah, we made the right decision, because most childhood relationships don't last anyways. Or they'll think, okay, yeah, we made the right decision at this point because now we're hopelessly in love. You know, at the end of the day, their parents may also accept the fact that they do want to be together in that sense too, you know? Their parents have been teasing them quite a bit. They could very well be accepting of this situation, especially because at the end of the day, they didn't bring children into this relationship, right? They didn't bring, you know, a five-year-olds, you know, 5 or 6 year olds, 8 years old, even, you know, they didn't bring children into this relationship. They brought teenagers, right? Teenagers are on the cusp, on the precipice of being adults anyways, right? They're just 4 or 5 years off from being adults, maybe even less. What are they, freshmen in high school? So they're, I think, when you graduate middle school in Japan, you have 3 years left of high school. So they're roughly 15, 16 years old, right? So they are, you know, like a couple of years off from being considered a quote-unquote adult, right? So with that being said, like, they didn't bring children into the relationship. They brought teenagers, right? So it's okay, you know, teenagers, hormones, all those things. Like, it's okay for them to necessarily have feelings, you know, depending how cool or not cool their parents are with that situation. But going back to HIGASHIRA, I really think that, you know, she could continue to push the envelope, push the comfortability, and, you know, at the end of the day, after Mizuto makes his choice, you know, she could very well be the one that's there. And, you know, it's not really a settling thing. It's from, like, somebody that he feels could be his partner. And, you know, HIGASHIRA could very well be that person for Mizuto. On the opposite side, you know, the reason I said this episode is pretty good, the growth factor for Yume, you know, after conversing with her mother, you know, after talking about Mizuto and his relationship with HIGASHIRA, you know, eventually her mom's like, yo, you could find pretty much anybody, especially with how you look now, how things are going for you. And that spurred something in Yume that she hasn't had before, which is, you know, maybe I can go get somebody who's not Mizuto. And she's like, oh, no, I can't believe I said that. But that's a good place to start for her, is to start thinking about, like, who else could be out there. Like, at the end of the day, I think this, when it comes to this kind of writing, it can go one of two ways. One of them has to take the dip in the other person pool first. The reason that has to happen, and, you know, Mizuto hasn't really dove all the way in. HIGASHIRA is very close to it, but the reason it has to happen is they need to decide, somebody needs to decide, are they going to push this between them, you know, between Yume and Mizuto? Are they going to push it and risk it all for the biscuit? Or is there potential for there to be someone else out there and them just be friends and siblings and be amiable, be cool with each other with a past? Like, they need to maturely decide that at some point. It doesn't have to be during the season or something, you know what I mean? At some point, hopefully during the light novels or something, once the source continues on. But eventually, like, you would assume, like, it needs to happen. But, they both need to go find somebody else and see if that is something that they want. Or are they going to come back and risk it for the biscuit? So that's really, like, kind of what I think needs to happen at this point. So I will be interested to see kind of what ends up happening next for both of them. And I'm voting on Higashira winning this because I love her so much. So let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comments below. Yume looked fantastic in her swimsuit. I don't like the frilly swimsuits. I like the standard two pieces. But regardless, I thought that whole moment was cute. Nice fan service for us. And let me know what you guys thought. And we'll talk to you guys next Wednesday for Stepmom's X. Deuces.